Hey everybody, how you doing? Today is going to be a conspiratizing video, so I just wanted to let everybody know to grab your tinfoil hats wherever you may be keeping them. Maybe you even have a really fancy tinfoil hat that you keep in like a special drawer, but take it out and put it on for the sake of this. Okay, so today, kind of a follow-up video. You know, a few months ago I talked about maybe Drake and Hawkins working together, sort of like to attack Orochi when he wasn't looking and kind of take over Wano, sort of like a conspiracy there. Well, we have some updates to that. Okay, so in one of the most recent chapters, we have Law, our man Law, trapped in prison and then being freed by an unknown shadowy figure that is like 95% probably X-Drake, because the silhouette of his foot kind of looks like X-Drake, and also he was in the prison and he was kind of acting funny. Even Hawkins mentioned, you know, are you alright? You're kind of pacing back and forth, you know, muttering about betraying me and leaving me for dead. And Drake's like, huh? Oh no, I'm good, I'm fine. Just continue your interrogation there, Hawkins. So, yeah, it's most likely Drake that was the one that either beat down Hawkins and let Law out, or maybe he just snuck into the cell and, like, you know, released Law's C-Prism cuffs, and then when Hawkins came in, Law proceeded to beat the crap out of him. Because we cut over that fight. We don't really know what happened there. 1 minute, Hawkins is interrogating Law in the prison in Rasetsu Town. The next thing we see, freaking Law has Kikoku, he has a sword back, and he's holding it at Hawkins' throat, and he's on the ground bleeding out like, well, guess you won. I'm like, I guess he did win, but how did that work, right? So, number one thing, we find out that Hawkins probably not the kind of guy that would be part of a conspiracy against Kaido or Orochi, because we find out that Hawkins, he is somebody that really follows his tarot readings to the letter, okay? And a lot of his tarot readings, it seems like he can predict the future, but not like the way of predicting the future of like he knows what's going to happen. Like, he doesn't read the cards and be like, okay, tomorrow I will stub my toe at exactly 3 o'clock p.m. That's not really how his cards work. Instead, he lays out his tarot and he basically asks a question like, what is my chance of defeat here? Or what is my chance of escaping? Or what are the chances I will stub my toe tomorrow at 3 o'clock p.m. or whatever? And the cards will give him like some, you know, process of like percentage. You know, they'll tell him like, all right, there's a 20% chance you have of winning this fight right now, okay? So all that really has to happen with Hawkins is he has to consult his cards and be like, okay, what's the best course of action here? You know, if I work under Kaido, what's my chances of survival? Oh, 40%? What are my chances if I fight him? 0. What are my chances if I try to go behind his back and defeat him? 0. You know, so it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, he's always going to go with the higher percentage, and he even says this to Law. He brings up the whole alliance that he had between, you know, himself and Kid and Apu, and he mentioned that Apu was the one working behind the scenes with Kaido that entire time, and when faced with Kaido, you know, Kid and Killer attacked him directly and got beaten down. Apu was already a member, so that just left Hawkins, and Hawkins just, like, probably, I'm imagining, like, while Kid and Killer were attacking Kaido and getting the crap beat out of them, Hawkins is like, alright, hold on a second, just give me a sec here. Okay, chance of defeat, you know, 100%, chance of escape, 0%, chance of survival if I submit, 40%. All right, well, I guess I'm going with 40% there, all right? It's the best option for me where I'm not dead. So that's how he does his thing. So I'm pretty sure Hawkins is not part of this conspiratorial thing, all right? Now, with that being said, if Drake really is that person that let him go, which I'm assuming he is, what exactly is the plan here? You know, like releasing Law. And even so, like, last chapter we found out the other samurai that were imprisoned in that same prison that Law was at, the prison gallery, they didn't get freed. So I thought at first, like, Drake was gonna bust into Rasetsu Town and kind of just release all of the prisoners, Law included, to just kind of, like, go wild, go crazy, like, in that sense, like, helping the rebellion out. But no, he didn't do that. Drake, he just let Law go and he'd get Hawkins beaten down. We don't really know what happened to Hawkins either, by the way. Apparently, we see it cut to black and then we hear a slash, so apparently it's implied that Law sliced off Hawkins' head, which, even if he did do that, it's Law here. He has the Oppi no Mi, so even if he sliced off his head, he's not necessarily dead. Maybe Law was doing something to Hawkins so he couldn't yell for help, or he couldn't scream, or he couldn't, like, tell people what happened in there. Like, he couldn't tell people of, like, Drake, like double-crossing everyone. So maybe Law, like, slashed and, like, removed his vocal cords or something. Like, that's, hey, he could do it. He could totally do it, 100%. while keeping Hawkins alive, of course, right? Because I don't think Hawkins would have gotten capped off that easily in the story. I mean, that's kind of... He's one of the supernovas. I doubt they were just like, oh yeah, he got an off-screen death. It's whatever. Yeah, so no, Hawkins is definitely still alive, but I don't think he's part of this. So, what exactly... Let's just assume it's Drake. I mean, I guess there's a small chance it could be somebody else, but really Drake fits the criteria for all this. And also, we saw Drake, before the time skip, joining up with Kaido's crew, attacking one of his islands. Drake also being a former Marine. I mean, he's a tactical son bitch. You know, he's not just going to sit around and just be like, all right, I'm just going to join up with you because you're really strong. You know, he's probably going to be playing the field with this and figuring out all this stuff. So here's the thing what I came up with, and this is the potential to be really interesting, but kind of a cluster when we get into this final battle in Act 3, once we get to the raid on Onigashima. Up until now, we've just basically been looking at the two factions, or those are the factions we've mostly been focusing on in the story. We have Kaido's faction, which now includes the Big Mom Pirates. They kind of formed one big entity there. Orochi's also part of that. I mean, I'm gonna just group them together as like the villains of the Wano Kuni arc. You got Kaido, you got Big Mom, and now you have Orochi too. He's not part of Kaido's crew, but they work in tandem, so they're all part of the same crew. And we even found out last chapter that their numbers run 30,000 strong. I don't know if Robin was including the Big Mom Pirates in that number, or if they even know the Big Mom Pirates are working with Kaido. You'd think that would be like big news, and you'd think they would have heard about it somewhere. Like, they have, like, the Rebellion doesn't have that many people working for them, as many as like Orochi does, or as many as Kaido does, but they still have an information network. They have Shinobu, who is a ninja. They have other ninjas working for them, right? Like that ninja we saw outside of Rosetsu Town last chapter. So you'd think that maybe they would have caught on in the next few days after the alliance was formed, like, holy crap, Big Mom and Kaido formed an alliance. Maybe they know about it, maybe they don't. You think some of the Beast Pirates would be mentioning it and one of the ninjas would have overheard or whatever. So if they weren't including the Big Mom crew, they even have more people working for them, right? Maybe not necessarily that many more, because Big Mom, she brought her crew with her to Wano, but she didn't bring, like, everybody from Totland to Wano. She only loaded up on the Queen Mama Shanter, her flagship, and then went to Wano. So it's like her and Smoothie and Compote and Molten Door and some of, like, the hardest hitting dudes and dudettes from Totland, okay? So it's not like Big Mom brought, like, another 10,000 of her, you know, soldiers with her or anything like that. Now, with her soul power, she could make more soldiers. But for right now, let's just say 30,000, right? So, yeah, the Rebellion has to go up against that right now. And we were focusing on the Rebellion, of course, with, you know, the samurai and the minks and the straw hats and everybody else in the prisons that they allied together, right? But there could always be another faction in this. In fact, that would be what you would expect. That would kind of be the smart maneuver here. It'd be like some people in the shadows looking at what's going to happen. Like, okay, so the Kozuki clan is back. Didn't expect that. But they are rallying allies together to fight against Kaido and Orochi and Big Mom. So they're going to have this big epic battle on the Fire Festival, because, you know, they look at the flyer here and like, holy crap, if anybody that could figure this out, which, as we know, anybody that's lived in Wano their entire lives should be able to figure this out, honestly. They look at it and they're like, okay, this battle's gonna happen at this place, at this time, you know, during the Fire Festival, at the Tokage Port and all that stuff, you know, and the Kozuki clan are back and everything, because that's what the Crescent Moon represents. So it's like, all right, let's stay in the background here and wait to see what's going to happen. You'd think there would be at least one faction, maybe more, that would be doing that. Like, let's just say X-Drake is part of this faction. X-Drake is like, you know what? I'm not, like, super loyal to Kaido. I'm basically just with him as, like, a stepping stone. My big plan is to take him down, but I don't want to join up with the Rebellion. I'm not joining up with the Straw Hats or the Samurai and everything like that. I don't want to join up with them, and I also don't want to be part of the, you know, the Beast Pirates. What I'm going to do is I'm going to free Law as part of this plan, because maybe they all kind of noticed that Law, like, if there's anybody on the Rebellion side that they thought maybe they could sway to their side of this, like, this third faction, it would be Law. You're not going to sway any of the Straw Hats over to your side. It's just not going to happen. The Samurai, like, you know, Kinemon and the other scabbards, you're not going to sway them over. You know, it's just not going to happen. You know, they're too dedicated to their causes, right? Some of the minks, you know, maybe, but the minks are loyal to Inuarashi, and they're also there, but there's also that theory that there's a traitor in the mink, possibly Faust, who was a member of the Hawkins crew, possibly Carrot, but that can't happen because Carrot's adorable and she's a bunny. Bunnies are, of course, 100% trustworthy, right? 100%, right? So that she can't be the traitor. But, like, there's no way they're going to get those kind of heavy-hitting fighters. So maybe if Drake is part of this conspiracy, he looked to Law and he's like, well, Law's pretty strong and he's a fellow supernova and he's a much more rational kind of human being. I have a chance of winning this guy over with just telling him my plan. And X-Drake, he would definitely have a good plan. X-Drake's plan, if he really is head of this conspiracy and everything, and like a third faction to try to like wait until the freaking the Minx and the Pirate and the Samurai Alliance and the freaking Beast Pirates just attack each other and they're both bloody and weakened, and then he swoops in and attacks and takes over. Like, Drake is the kind of guy that would come up with a pretty military like tactical plan there, okay, because he was a rear admiral at one point, okay? So X-Drake might approach Law and tell him the plan and whatever and be like, hey, I freed you, but I freed you because I want you to do this, or I want you to help me out here. I want you to betray the Straw Hats and then work on my side, and then if this all goes as planned, we might be able to take all of Wano. Or maybe their goal, because that doesn't seem like X-Drake would be the kind of guy that wants to rule a country. That doesn't really seem their thing. Like, I figure they're still pirates, they're super rookies. Their goal at the end of the day is to get to Laugh-Tale Island, to get to the One Piece, okay? And so that's kind of why they're on the Seven Seas. They might have different kinds of, like, motives for getting there. Drake has a very interesting backstory just in and of himself, and I made a video about him, with his dad being a former Marine, then a pirate, and then he grew up as a pirate, then a Marine, then back to a pirate again. Yeah, so and now apparently working for Kaido, but he might be double-cross. There's a lot of stuff complicated there with Drake. But yeah, I don't think he would want to take over Wano. He might have another plan just to kind of steal the road poneglyph, really. Because getting to Kaido's road poneglyph, I mean, it's been mentioned up until this point. They figure where it is. They know that there is a poneglyph underneath the castle or the palace in the flower capital of Wano, but it's not the road poneglyph, and it's not down there. So they figure, okay, somewhere on Onigashima, probably like in the dungeon of Kaido's manor, there's probably that's where the road poneglyph is. So you got to figure out something really complicated to get there, to make this work and really set things up. And I think Drake is definitely the person to do that, okay? Now, what about Kyoshiro? Because Kyoshiro is also somebody that very clearly he's not 100% loyal to Orochi. He seems to be feigning loyalty to him, but really you could see with him and maybe Komurasaki and Hiyori, they have something else going on here. So are they part of like a yet another faction, like a fourth faction that's going to go off and do their own things completely independent of Drake and whatever he's planning? Or are they a part of that? Maybe Kyoshiro and Drake, maybe they met at some point and they like let their ideals be known. Like, hey, I don't really like Kaido too much. He's like, well, I don't really like Orochi too much. He's like, hey, you're pretty strong, huh? Well, you're pretty strong too. And it's like, well, let's work together. So there might be that might mix in there with the plan. But yeah, I think we're not going to address this in like a big way until probably like the battle gets underway. Like we're about halfway through the battle and it doesn't matter. Like it's looking good for the rebellion. It's looking good for the Beast Pirates. Like either way this rebellion's going, boom, right there in the middle. That's when this third faction strikes. And they might not even be trying to attack them directly. I'm not even talking about it like a battle faction. I'm not saying like X-Drake is gathering together his own crew and Law's crew to like, all right, men, let's attack, charge, like, no, they're not going to do that, probably because they couldn't even get the numbers for that, probably. Right now, most of the people that could fight in Wano are either on Kaido's side, Orochi's side, or the rebellion side. I mean, there's really probably not a lot of there up for debate, like, well, I don't really feel for fighting on the Yonko side or the rebellion side. I wish there was a good third party I could join. Drake chimes up. He's like, no. His plan would probably just be like, wait until they're freaking killing each other, and then let's sneak under Onigashima and steal the road poneglyph and get the hell out of Dodge. Let's just bail after that point, right? The only problem with that is Kyoshiro, I don't see him going for that. I see maybe Law going for that. I mean, not, like, I think Law is still going to be playing the field here. Law's like, sure, Drake, I'll listen to you. Yeah, Straw Hat was an idiot. He never listens to anything I said. I'm going to form an alliance with you, because you're a much smarter guy. And Law and Drake even have a relationship together, because they did run into each other on Swallow Island way back in the day with Corazon and everybody, so they have a relationship, right? So Law might, feign interest in it, and then double-cross him, so he's like a triple crosser or whatever. But you can understand Drake's perspective here. Like, hey, Law, you're a pretty smart guy. Let's wait until the freaking, two armies are attacking each other. And then, halfway through the battle, security at Onigashima might be kind of weaker because everybody's fighting this battle. Let's sneak under the freaking place, steal the road poneglyph. Let's hop on, just get the hell out of Wano. Let's sail out of there. Nobody even knows we were there. And let's just go to freaking, let's Raftel or whatever. Maybe Drake, through his connections at the Marines or something, maybe Drake even has intel on the other road poneglyphs. Maybe the fourth road poneglyph that went missing, a lot of people say, oh, it was in Shanks's possession, or it's in the sky where nobody could find it. Maybe the Marines or the world government has it. That's definitely a possibility. You can't rule that out. The world government, they found a poneglyph at some point, a road poneglyph, and they decided to throw it into, like, underneath Marineford or underneath Marijois in a vault or something. Maybe back during the time, Drake was working for them, he had connections, maybe he snuck in and found it, right? And then maybe after he found that road poneglyph, he decided to skip out and leave the Marines, and then he was a traitor from that point onward. It's possible, right? So he might be like, hey man, I already have one of these poneglyphs, I have more than one of these poneglyphs, we could get Kaido's and then skip out and then find the other ones, and we could do it ourselves. We could find that treasure all on our own. We're smart guys, we can do this. You're the Surgeon of Death, I'm freaking, former Rear Admiral, I know the ins and outs of the Marines, I could figure this stuff out, right? Now, Law might agree to that and be like, yeah, sure, okay, and then later, ha, that's why you don't double-cross the double-crosser, right? And so that could happen. But yeah, Kyoshiro, though, I don't see him working together on that because Kyoshiro's goal would not be to leave Wano. Kyoshiro, I figure his goal is to probably roll over Wano, take over Orochi's position, because he's looking at Orochi, and Orochi is an idiot, and he's like, oh, well, okay, I'm just waiting for the day, biding my time, very, very patiently, I might add, waiting for the day when it's like, all right, Orochi, it's time to be, okay, now I take over the position as Shogun, right? Now, that's not going to happen either, because Momo or Hiyori, like a member of the Kozuki clan, by the end of Wano, pretty much has to be the new Shogun of the country, but hey, who knows, maybe he might try his conspiracy thing and it might not work, and Kyoshiro has to flee the land. I'm gonna give you my opinion on Kyoshiro. I mean, like, we saw in the opening he should be Denjiro, but right now his, like, I don't want to base, like, absolutely Kyoshiro is Denjiro, 100% a good guy working behind the scenes. I don't want to say he's, like, 100% a good guy just because we saw him in the intro there along with the other scabbards. And even if he is, like, legitimately Denjiro, maybe Denjiro just had a change of heart over the 20 years. And he decided to go and do his, not on Orochi's side, but he just decided to do his own interest. He's like, screw this. I worked for Odin, but that was a long time ago. I'm going to do my own thing now. And I'm going to try to take out Orochi and become the Shogun of the country. So he doesn't have anything against the scabbards. He doesn't have anything against the Straw Hats or anything. They get in his way, though. He would take them down, right? So that's another possibility there. But yeah, I'm really interested in going with Drake, though, because Drake, I mean, like, we've seen him a little bit in this arc, popping in and fighting everybody. But Drake's, like I said, his backstory is so interesting that you really could do a bunch with this character, and I think this is the perfect chance to do that, right? Now, whenever Law left the prison, Law seemed to not really care about whoever let him out. He just kind of walked out of the prison and he's like, you know what? I don't know why you let me out. I guess it has some benefit to you to let me out and me alone and not those other samurai. But whatever, I don't care. And Law just walked away. All right, now we did see him in the last chapter, but we don't even know where he's at right now. It was just like one panel of Law kind of looking very serious, just like, And then that was all we got of Law in the last chapter, okay? So I think Oda's going to try to make us believe, oh yeah, he's betraying them, but he's really not. At least I hope he's really... I mean, like... Well, okay. Legitimate question. How would you feel if Law became a straight-up villain in this story? I mean, like... I really can't look at Law and say, like a word looking at Law, I would not say hero. I would not look at Law and be like, oh yeah, he's a hero. He's like 100% a good guy. I mean, I know we're talking about pirates here, but Luffy is a good guy, all right? He's not going around murdering people and being pirate and, pillaging villages and, burning down buildings and stuff. Luffy is a pretty good guy considering he's a pirate, okay? But Law, I mean, like... Honestly, Law kind of reminds me of Urahara from Bleach, where there was a theory with Bleach for a very, very long time. It pretty much kept going up until the end of the story that Urahara was going to turn out to be a villain. And Urahara's the kind of guy that's like, he's super smart and he's really good at keeping secrets. Like, if he wanted to betray everybody, he totally could have. He had all of the freaking necessary things to make that work. His plans and the way he thinks about stuff, he totally could have hamstringed everybody. But he didn't. He wasn't a villain. But Law, kind of in the same boat, isn't he? Like, Law, super smart dude, very good at, like, lying and being duplicitous. I mean, look how he wormed his way into working under Caesar. Like, and having Caesar to trust him and everything. If Law wanted to just, like, you know what, I'm gonna betray the Straw Hats and everybody and, you know, enact my plan, I mean, he could totally do that, 100%. He would even probably maybe even keep his own crew in the dark about that, but he could if he really wanted to. So, I mean, I don't want him to be a villain, obviously, but, I mean, I'm just saying you can't rule it out. Like, it's not like you can't just look at Law and be like, oh, he's always going to be a good guy, 100%. I never see him doing anything evil or against them. Maybe not necessarily evil, but nothing against the Straw Hats. I don't think it's true. I just want to throw out the possibility there. So, yeah, not a particularly long video, but I just wanted to kind of address everything in the situation we have right now. You know, we got clearly some other faction going on. If you want to say, like, it's just Drake doing his own thing, and there's, like, that's the third faction, or maybe there's a fourth faction with Kyoshiro, maybe even a fifth faction, something else going on behind the scenes. And then Blackbeard shows up. Oh, yeah, because apparently there's a traitor. It might be the traitor connected to the Minx, or it might be just another mole that Blackbeard had, like, infiltrated the country, because Blackbeard figures out like what's going on inside the country in this isolated land of Wano. So Blackbeard has somebody working for him in there. Maybe it's a member, maybe it's Devon because she can transform and she snuck in and came back and relayed information to Blackbeard. Maybe it's another member that Blackbeard recruited over the time skip that we haven't seen yet, but he has somebody working in there. So yeah, I really think, despite this being an isolated country, I mean, one of the big themes of this arc is opening up Wano Kuni to the entire world. That was Odin's last wish. Well, Oda might actually bend that in a way where it's like, oh, you want Wano Kuni to be open to the entire world? Okay, we'll be open to the entire world. Open in the sense that, like, Wano is going to be the hub for major events, shockwaves, all over the world, where we're gonna have Yonko there, like Big Mom, Kaido, maybe Blackbeard might show up. There's other people from other lands coming in, sneaking around. You got X-Drake doing some conspiracies. You got Kyoshiro going on. So Wano, this battle, I mean, we even saw that in the last chapter. Like, this is something that might not even shake the Wano Kuni, but this is something that could shake the entire world. You know, like this could happen. This is a big event that's going to break beyond the boundaries of Wano. Okay, so it'll become unisolated in such a, like, not the way that you figure, not the positive way, where it's like, yes, open borders to Wano, anyone can visit, get yourself a souvenir keychain of a katana, or some toad oil from Usopp Tachi, whatever. No, it might be like, holy crap. So there was this big, huge battle, like, somebody's giving a briefing to the Gorosei, like, the guy walks in, and he's like, Mr. Gorosei, I have a report, like, we'll be on with it. I'm like, okay, so, you guys know about that isolated country, Wano? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that has nothing to do with the world government. It's like, well, actually, so there was a big battle there, and Kaido and Big Mom teamed up, and they fought against the Straw Hat Pirates and the Heart Pirates, and there was a bunch of supernovas there, and there was, like, a bunch of conspiracies going on, and I have this really complicated pie chart I'm looking at right now, but it turns out that, yeah, somehow some stuff happened, and now Blackbeard is attacking Marijois. What? You know, like, it could be something like that, something crazy, like some event from Wano leads into, like, it's like, oh yeah, now Blackbeard somehow has the Soul Fruit and the Dragon Fruit. Like, what? Huh? What? How? You know, so, you know, just let me know below what you feel about the conspiracizing. You know, how do you think that's going to go? But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. You can take your tinfoil hats now. I'm surprised that stayed on my head the entire time, aren't you? So, yeah, Barry has a little tinfoil straw hat right here. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Now on to figuring out the mystery of Stonehenge. I think it's a pie factory.